Hello and welcome to Trans Day of Remembrance 2020. My name is Kirsten. I'm the Vice Chair of Reading Pride and I'll be your host today. Ordinarily we'd be gathered together in the same location. Unfortunately the COVID restrictions make this a virtual event. Nevertheless, I hope you'll join us as we hear from some distinguished speakers, remember the names of those we have lost, and mark their lives with a minute's silence. It's been a very difficult year for the community. It's been a year marked by an increase in reported hate crimes and a rise in hostile rhetoric from right-wing groups and politicians. The community has not been immune to the pandemic, neither its medical effects nor its economic and social effects. Nevertheless, it's worth remembering that more people than ever are leading the lives that they choose to live. And we believe that through effective organising and uniting in love with friends and allies, we shall undoubtedly prevail. And so let me introduce Councillor Sarah Hacker, Trustee of Reading Pride, who is our first speaker.
Hello everyone, and thank you for inviting me to be part of Trans Day of Remembrance in Reading. It's something I've done over the last few years, both as a patron and now a trustee of Reading Pride, but also as a councillor and a trade union rep. I'm a member of Unite the Union, and today I'm going to tell you a little bit about what trade unions can do to help you through your transition and also to support you in the workplace. So first of all, obviously, you need to join a union. I would recommend that anyone in your workplace does this. So you can just pop to tuc.org.uk/join union, and there you'll be able to find out which one is best for your occupation and your workplace. So once you've joined a union, there's a massive support network out there for you. Not only would you potentially have a rep in the workplace, but you're also looking at a huge amount of support behind the scenes, whether it be legal support, the LGBT networks within your trade union, but also just that feeling of friendship and someone that you can turn to if things are difficult. Your union will be able to ensure that you are protected and you aren't discriminated against, and in the case that you are, they'll be by your side to make sure that you are treated fairly. There estimate there are 400,000 people in the UK who are trans, so employers should assume that about 1% of their workplace will have some kind of gender variance. Not all workplaces are set up already to be able to support someone going through their transition as a trans person or joining a workplace as a trans person. But the unions are there to make sure that they put those policies in place and ensure that you're safe and you are protected, whether it be something as simple as medical leave, so you can go and visit the hospital and those doctor's appointments, or right at the other end of your employment journey when it comes to pensions and retirement and everything in between. Remember, as a trade union, we are there to protect you in your workplace. We are there to be your friends, and we are there to support you and be a massive, wonderful, protected family that the trade union family is. I mean, I've been a trade union member now for over 20 years, and I have to say they're some of the most friendliest, supportive people that you'll ever meet. But if you go to them with a problem, they are also fierce and will be there to make sure that you receive the very best treatment and ensure that you don't have to go to work scared about what your colleagues are going to say to you. So once again, remember, the trade unions are there for you. The trade unions are there to make sure the policies are in place to ensure that you're safe, you're protected, and you don't face discrimination. And to get all this help and protection and to make sure that you're part of this wonderful big trade union family, as I said at the beginning, the first thing you must do is join a union. And I know that some of you have done that, and I've seen you blossom, and it's been a wonderful journey to observe. So do so, go out there. If you're not a union member already, do so. But on the other hand, we have to remember why we're here today. I don't want to see another person in the UK who's trans feel that they can't go into the workplace. They feel that they can't get that support from their employer, or even feel that they don't have the support to go on anymore and have desperate need of intervention. So be friends. Remember to check on how everybody is at the moment, because it is very difficult for everyone, but ultimately there's people out there and there's people that are going to fight for you. So join a union. Bye.
Thank you very much for inviting me to speak today at Trans Day of Remembrance. Always a sombre event, where we remember our family lost across the world simply for being who they are. Friends, progress is driven in waves, and with every wave comes the highs and the lows. But every battle lost is a lesson learned, and every new success paves the way forward for equality. 2020 has been, by most accounts, the most disastrous year. COVID-19 has wreaked havoc across the world, putting our lives on pause for months on end and keeping us away from our loved ones. Whilst many state that the virus is a great equaliser, I believe it has exposed the stark inequalities in existence in our society. The isolation caused by the virus shines a light on the mental health, and we all know that that is an increased risk for LGBT people. But as the COVID rate declined and summer blossomed, we faced the most egregious attack in Reading. The Thornbury Gardens terror attack ripped the heart out of our town. 3 victims lost their lives, members of our very own LGBT community, and known to many watching today. The Conservatives embedded their true position as the antithesis of equality when they shied away from their responsibility with the Gender Recognition Act. In a year which was shamefully marked by the quadrupling of trans hate crimes since 2015, they decided to ignore consultation responses. These consultation responses, 2/3 of which called for gender dysphoria to be removed. 80% against the need for a medical diagnosis at all. And 4 in 5 people did not agree that trans people should have to live in their acquired gender for years. I'm not finished with 2020 yet, though. 2020 is marked by violence. The numbers tell the story that trans people are twice as likely to be attacked in this country than cisgendered people. The lockdown has locked survivors of domestic violence in their homes with their abusers. And a black man was killed by a white police officer who knelt on his neck for over 9 minutes. Martha P. Johnson said, "History isn't something you look back on and say it was inevitable. It happens because people make decisions that are sometimes very impulsive and in the moment, but those moments are cumulative realities." But there is something else that 2020 has taught me. The strength of allies, the strength of the community, and the strength of coming together to take a stand when something is very wrong. In direct and stark juxtaposition to the losses were the peaceful demonstrations for Black Lives Matters. Black Trans Lives Matters emerged as a powerful branch to highlight the risks facing trans people of colour, and 100,000 people responded to the Gender Recognition Act consultation. The vast majority of them denying the TERFs and siding with trans rights. I said earlier that progress moves in waves, and I truly believe that progress cannot come without the support of allies, because walking with a friend in the dark is better than walking alone in the light. To everyone who identifies as trans, non-binary, or genderqueer, know that you are never alone. If 2020 should be remembered for anything, it is this. This year we found an ever-growing number of allies who are willing to take a stand against injustice. We take this forward with us, and tomorrow, with trans people leading the way, the fight begins again. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name's Christina Dearlove. I'm one of the joint founders of MyUmbrella LGBT+, the people that put on today's event. Every single person deserves to be treated with dignity and respect and fairness at home, at work and out socially. Unfortunately, this isn't the case, especially for all workers here in the UK. According to TUC research, 7 in 10 trans workers say they experience workplace harassment and discrimination, and it's led to negative effect on their mental health. The trade union movement is built on solidarity among its workers, with a strong acknowledgement that we're stronger together, and this too should be the same in the LGBT community. If you're cisgendered, you could be a trans ally. What's a trans ally, I hear you ask? Well, a trans ally is a non-trans person who is committed to being open-minded and respectful to people who may have different gender identities to them and presents their gender in a different way. They've taken the time to learn more about trans people and their lives and confront assumptions and stereotypes around trans people. Allies work to ensure trans people are treated with respect at home, at work, out socially, at the shops, everywhere they go. Every non-trans person can be a trans ally and work to ensure trans people are treated with dignity, fairness and respect. Here's 5 simple tips on how you could be a good ally to the trans and non-binary community. Step 1. Take time to educate yourself. Knowledge is power. Many people have said they want to be a trans ally and support the community, but feel they don't know enough about trans people to speak up. If you feel this way, there are many resources you can use to learn more and empower yourself so you're able to be an ally. There are many online resources you can find using Google and YouTube, and by looking at LGBT-friendly media sites such as LGBT Consortium, sites like Stonewall, as well as other local organisations. There may be times when you might use the wrong terminology as well, or misunderstand something. People might point this out, but don't let that stop you being an ally. Trans people will appreciate that you have the right intent to use this opportunity to learn that little bit more. Step 2. Include trans people. Many of my trans friends have told me how isolating work can be for them, some stating that their colleagues don't even speak to them or allow them to join in conversations. Some people have even took steps to exclude them totally. So make an effort. Include your trans friends, colleagues, both at work and socially, in conversations and events. Step 3. Respect their boundaries. If you've listened this far, it's likely you want to be an ally, or already are, and have taken the decision to support the trans community, at work and more widely. That's great. One good way to be an ally is to understand and respect people's boundaries. You wouldn't ask a stranger or acquaintance or close friend about their appearance or the status of their genitals. It's equally important you don't ask a trans person these questions too. As a general rule, it's not to ask a trans person personal questions about their transition. For example, are you going to have surgery? Each person's transition is different. There's no right or wrong way to transition. Understanding that and being respectful of a person's privacy is a key attribute to being an ally. Step 4. Speak and listen. Speak to and listen to your trans people and colleagues. Listen to how they describe themselves. This will enable you to follow their lead and actively listen and help them to ensure you use the right pronoun and names. For example, my pronouns are she and her. If you realise you've used the wrong name or pronoun or terminology, just apologise, correct yourself, move on. Don't make a big deal about it. Step 5. Challenge transphobia. Speak up for trans people, for trans equality and against transphobia. Don't forget your voice and your actions has weight and can change hearts and minds. Be the first to challenge transphobia or correct misconceptions. Do speak up when there are trans people in the room and when they're not. Don't leave challenging transphobia just to trans people.
As someone who is cis and lesbian, it's important that we all shout that it's not acceptable to be turning a blind eye to the trauma, hate, misinformation and deaths of trans people. Every year, every week, and sometimes every day, we hear of someone being killed for being trans. In the UK, we see and hear transphobia in the press from celebrities all thinking they have the right to decide who are allowed to be who they want to be. As if they have the right to decide what a man or woman should be. I don't know about you, but I'm sick of it. I'm tired of having to support people with anxieties and suicidal thoughts because there are people who would rather put them down. There are those who feel they have a superiority in deciding who can define others. You know what? It's all rubbish. My job at Support You is to pick up the pieces of how society has made people feel. I am trying to make sure everyone that wants support for being LGBT+ has the tools to rise like a phoenix. I want to be able to throw their anxieties away from the sound of the press and the privileged celebs. But it can be hard for you, as it's deafening. It's constant, and a constant reminder that you aren't valued or maybe subhuman in some way. I may be tired of it, but people who are trans and black must be feeling worse. I can shut my door at the end of the day and make sure the inequalities and hate thrown at trans and black people is something I can tackle again tomorrow. And that is what privilege looks like. Many can't shut the door and feel safe anymore. Today I hold this candle. To remember those who have lost their lives for being trans around the world. If you have a candle, please go and get one. This candle is a symbol of the light we shine to those who have lost their lives, either from other people's or of their own hand. If someone is struggling, and to those of you who are struggling for acceptance and without fear, there are people listening. Please search for them. We have a phone line 5 days a week. Use us. Don't let lockdown hold you back. Don't let the black dog bring you down. I will stand in the rain with you. The rain being a symbol of the tears you must be shedding, because we stand with you to catch those raindrops and hold them dear for you. Because every tear you shed is a tear of the oppression you can be feeling. You will see the list of names that have died for being trans, especially black trans lives. We wish we could stop the hurt, stop you feeling unworthy, and bring a magic unicorn to you. All we can do is hear you, and we hope that by having people like us around, you feel more valued in society. So please reach out if you find yourself in a situation of domestic abuse or of a hate crime. We will stand with you. If your voice isn't being heard, we will stand with you so you can be heard. If you feel trapped, we will hear you. Many LGBT+ people stay in abusive relationships because they feel they should be grateful that someone loves them. If you are in an abusive relationship, that person doesn't love you. There are people who will help you grow into the beautiful butterfly. Don't become one of the statistics because you feel grateful that someone is showing you misguided support. Support is what people should always be doing. You deserve nothing less. Be proud of who you are. Be proud that you are living your lives the way you should be. The LGBT+ community is your haven. Cis people may not always get it right, but we do stand with you. Because support to you stands with you always.
Hello there. My name's Jamie Wake and I'm the CEO of Club F.o.D, and I've been asked today to talk to you about hate crime. For those of you that don't know me, I have historically organised a hate crime vigil here in Reading that was coordinated to join the many other vigils that happen across the country, to stand in solidarity and remembrance for those affected by hate crime. Although that event hasn't taken place over the last few years, sadly, hate crime still continues to take place, including here in Reading. This year, transgender hate crime has risen by 16% in the UK. Now, this may be as a result of increased confidence in reporting incidents, but we do know that many incidents still go unreported. The Transgender Day of Remembrance is observed every year so that we can honour and remember the many lives lost to transphobic violence. In many cases, we know the names of the victims, but it's sad to say that it's likely there has been many more victims that we're still unable to identify. The legacy of these victims of hate crime is the slow progress that's being made. Although there is much more to be done as we stand on the shoulders of that legacy, we do need to be the shoulders that the next generation is able to stand on. Transphobia has no place in modern society. And today, we are not only remembering the people in our community that we have lost to hate crime, but today we also have the opportunity of showing the future generations to come that there is hope for the future. If you know me, you'll know I have always believed that blatant is better than latent. After all, visibility is the biggest weapon we can use. Now, without sounding flippant, my openness to socialise publicly in leather or appear in drag as supernova hasn't always resulted in a positive experience. Sadly, as a victim of hate crime myself, I can confirm the impact its long-lasting effects can have on someone. And however any of us identify, define our sexuality or gender, or whether any one of us stands here dressed in full drag, full leather, or in a Captain American t-shirt, none of us are second-class citizens. No one has a monopoly on hate crime. The rise of social media means that hate crime can even occur within the safety of our own homes, when those that would like to do us harm think they can do from the anonymity of a computer screen. I hope that all of us can continue to encourage people across all of the LGBT plus communities to work with each other to develop local projects to tackle hate crime. Whilst I won't use this platform to share my own personal experiences of hate crime, I will share with you this advice. Here in Reading, we can all do our part. If you are a victim or a witness to a hate crime, report it. If you're unsure if it's a hate crime, report it anyway. The police are on our side and will support you and advise you where necessary. This event today may seem to be just an act of remembrance, but today the simple symbolic act aims to remind us all that even the smallest of actions can make the biggest of differences. To remember those we know and those we know of who have been affected by hate crime in any way, shape or form. Sitting and talking here as a gay man, I'm acutely aware that I will not experience the same challenges that members of the trans community will face. Whilst we might have secured rights, that doesn't necessarily mean we've secured acceptance. And that's why I'm such an advocate of events such as this, alongside pride parades and festivals, and making sure that all our diverse communities work together to continue to celebrate diversity, but also show that we really are the beacon of hope for the future. Thank you for listening. Say no to hate. And remember, it really is okay to be exactly who you are. Thank you.
A statement from Thames Valley Police for MyUmbrella in relation to Transgender Day of Remembrance. Thames Valley Police recognise the importance of Transgender Day of Remembrance and stand this year, as in previous years, in solidarity with transgender people. This year has been hard, and Thames Valley Police LGBT+ network has not been able to mark this event in the way it deserves this year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Thames Valley Police officers and staff continue to support the transgender community and engage in the work necessary to tackle hate crime and help prevent such offences from happening.
It was reported that 331 transgender people lost their lives in 2019. 30 of those were from the United States. 2020, the year of the global pandemic, the year where the whole world slowed down, the year where by August the number of trans deaths within the US surpassed the total from the year prior. 2020, the year where many of our childhood inspirations who created magical worlds and places we could use to escape reality stood against everything we had ever fought for. 2020, the year where over 3,000 transgender people were at risk of losing their medication within the UK. They said that the presidential elections in 2016 were the most important elections for our rights in the history of elections. Those same words were echoed once again, even louder, during the 2020 campaign. Generally speaking, things are a little bit easier this side of the pond, but that doesn't mean that there's no longer a shared fear to walk down a street and to be afraid of becoming the next victim of a hate crime. Earlier this year, I was walking down my road on my way home when I became a victim of a hate crime. Out of fear, I didn't bring it up to my parents, and I only shared it with those who could deal with it correctly. Being a transgender activist in the public eye means that if I were to be killed, my name would be guaranteed to make it onto that ever-growing yearly list of the trans people who have been murdered. Many transgender individuals are remembered due to their social media outlets, such as Leila Alcorn or Caden Clark.
Leila Alcorn died on Sunday morning when she walked into traffic on Interstate 71.
The name Leila Alcorn was trending worldwide on Twitter.
However, many people forget the hundreds, if not thousands, of those who did not make that list every year because they were not out or still not legally recognized by the country they were supposed to be protected by. You see, being trans isn't just about changing who you are, it's also about taking the risk of being your true self, may it be visible to those around you or not. It's about facing those who will try absolutely anything to devalue a community of individuals who for decades have struggled to be accepted by the closed-minded people of which affect each and every one of us on a daily basis, may it be in person or via an organization. Each year we reflect on those who have been killed and taken from us, as well as those who were murdered in previous year. Some may ask, why do we remember each individual? Everyone may have their own reasons, so let me share mine. Many years ago, I learned I would have to educate as many people who would listen to the rights that I didn't have. Over the last 5 years, I took it as a goal to speak as visibly as possible across the globe using the internet as my outlet. I have seen things that can never be forgotten, learned things that many would fear of thinking, and heard things which have caused so much pain and grief to people within the trans community. The suffering of each message I receive on the daily is yet another thing I add to the fire that is the burning passion inside of me. Are we near to the tipping point where the incline of yearly trans deaths start to drop? No. There is so much work left to do, but what I can tell you is that every year our shared dream of equality, acceptance and love for everyone in the transgender community dawns closer with each person realizing who they are and coming out. 2020, the year where I ask you to remember.
Hi, I'm Tommy Snipe, the current chairperson of the Reading Renegades. The Renegades is an inclusive club that aims to create a safe space where everyone can come and enjoy rugby, particularly for those in the LGBT+ community. As such, we're really thankful to be able to gather here today to remember those in our community who have been victim to anti-trans violence or had taken their own lives as a result of transphobia. Many of us within the Renegades will have been personally impacted, either directly or indirectly, by hate targeted towards the trans community. So we would like to extend our thanks to MyUmbrella for asking us to be involved in the day. Now, I'm sure there are other speakers who will talk more about the importance of and the meaning behind Transgender Day of Remembrance, so instead I'm going to take a slightly different approach. Transgender Day of Remembrance provides us with an opportunity to raise awareness of the barriers the trans community face in wider society, and it is by raising the profile of these barriers and driving action to eliminate them that we can create a world that is safer for the trans community. One issue that is currently very pertinent to us at the Reading Renegades is the inclusion of the trans community in rugby. Earlier this year, World Rugby made a decision to restrict the participation of trans people in rugby, in particular the inclusion of trans women in women's rugby. This decision comes despite International Olympic Committee guidance that has allowed trans women to compete for the last 2 decades without issue. Under the guise of a safety issue, World Rugby's decision has effectively banned trans women from the sport, as well as created further barriers for trans men and non-binary individuals to participate. There are also potential wider ramifications of this decision, as it may set a precedent for other sports to prevent trans women from participating in women's sports. Thankfully, the RFU in England has stood with the trans community and supports them to continue to play games as before at a national level. However, at an international level, work still needs to be done. So as a club that wholeheartedly believe that rugby should be for everyone, the Renegades will continue to work with international gay rugby to address this. One other topic I wanted to touch upon is allyship. In the Renegades, not all of us are part of the trans community, or even the wider LGBT plus community, but we believe that allyship is incredibly important to drive positive change. Now, by allyship, we mean authentic allyship. That's an allyship that listens to the trans community and supports them to raise up their voices. It's an allyship that means we will not be passive when it comes to addressing inequality. We strongly believe that we shouldn't leave all the work to create change to those that are directly impacted by it. Instead, we want to take on our share of that work to reduce the burden upon them. That's why we, as the Reading Renegades, proudly stand as one with the trans community, and we encourage everyone to do so with us. So, I'd like to finish by once again thanking MyUmbrella for involving us on this day where we remember our trans siblings who that we've lost, and also commit to continually driving forward trans inclusion.
Hi, I'm Samantha, founder of the Tea and Coffee Trans Network. I sit here at the end of Trans Awareness Week to make this video because I can, because I'm one of the lucky ones. One of the lucky ones. What do I mean by that? Even against a backdrop of a global pandemic, with over 1 million people losing their lives, the trans and gender diverse communities have still been under constant attack. Over 300 trans people have been murdered worldwide this year alone. Why am I one of the lucky ones? Because I haven't been beaten to a pulp. Because I haven't been sexually assaulted. Because I've only suffered minor incidents of verbal or physical violence. Yeah, I guess in the grand scheme of things, that does make me quite lucky. How, with such disastrous situations as 2020 has shown us, have the media still found time to attack trans people at every turn? How, when the world is in desperate need of support for a global disaster, do the government still find time to infringe on transgender rights? How, in the year 2020, were 350 trans people murdered worldwide? So when I say I feel lucky, I think I'm very lucky to be here, quite frankly. Tea and Coffee is a network designed for trans and gender diverse people, their families and their friends, to allow people to connect. We've reached a global community, bringing people together. The stories we hear every day are harrowing, are painful, and they keep coming. Or no more. This week, Trans Awareness Week, and on Trans Day of Remembrance, we don't just remember those who we've lost. We think about those who we're going to lose. In this country alone, a suicide rate for trans people is approximately 48%. Let's call it what it is. That's half of trans or gender diverse identifying people who have attempted to take their own lives at least once. That stops today. We live in a country where there is still a debate on what toilet I should be allowed to use. Whether I should be allowed to get married without going through insanely expensive and long-winded medical and legal processes. That stops today. Trans rights are human rights. And this day, on Trans Day of Remembrance, that's what I want to remember. Thank you.
Hello, Reading Pride UK. My name is Enrique Castro, and I'm the president of Reading Pride Celebration US, and my pronouns are he and him.
My name is Jonathan Rodríguez, and I'm the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer for Reading Pride Celebration US, and I use he and him pronouns.
On behalf of Reading Pride US, We stand in solidarity with our friends across the pond at Reading Pride UK during this time when we remember the lives of our transgender siblings we've lost this year.
Although what brings us together this time is to remember those lives who were lost along the way at the hands of violence and transphobia, it did connect us, and we want to cherish that, while also hoping that in the near future we can come together to uplift and celebrate each other.
This has been a crazy year around the globe, but it has been an especially deadly year for our trans and gender non-conforming siblings. This is unacceptable, and together we stand with you in the UK to demand justice for our siblings and the changes necessary where every member of our community can live their truths every day, celebrate who they are, and do so without conflict. Our hope is that one day we will not need a ceremony of remembrance such as this, but until then, we see you, we love you, we stand with you, and will fight alongside you until we are all free to just be.
Fight. That's the word that we hope you remember after today. Fight for the right to live, not survive. Fight for the right to exist without fear. Fight for your brothers, your sisters, and your siblings. Fight for yourself and for others. Let's fight for those whose lives right now are in danger. Fight because until all of the members in our community have not the same rights, the fight continues. But remember that we are in this fight together.
Hi everyone, how are you all doing? It's Jessica James here. I am a singer, songwriter, performing artist and trans activist, and I've been asked by the lovely Christina, Dearlove, and the team over at MyUmbrella if I could do a speech for Trans Day of Remembrance, and I said I would love to. If you can support MyUmbrella in any way, please do. If you can give them a like, a comment, a subscribe, share any of their videos that they're putting out. If you can go over to their website, www.myumbrella.org.uk, and if you can leave them any donations, if you can afford to. But if you can't afford to donate, just simply give them a little share, and every little helps, spread the word. So many people across the world are being killed just simply because of the fact that they live their true, authentic self as transgender. If you're born trans, you can't help the way that you're born, and why should you live a different way? Who would choose to put themselves through the life that us trans people have to live with discrimination every day? In every day we get discriminated against, and it's not just like a third world thing. It's worse in the third world, and it's worse in some places than it is in others, but discrimination is there every single day for us trans people and non-binary. So it's just about trying to promote more love, promote more respect. We all need to respect each other as human beings, and I'm working on a great track at the moment with a really big record producer. His name's James Hur, and he works with the likes of Mark Knight, Robbie Williams, and he works with David Guetta. There's so many people. He's like one of the top producers. He's brilliant, and me and him have got together, and I'm writing a track, and we're working on a charity single to raise funds and awareness for MyUmbrella. Please do buy it when it's out. I'm not sure when it's out. We've just started writing it. Should be finished recording it with vocals hopefully by the end of the year. Then he's got to mix it down, obviously, and it's doing it between he's a very busy man working with lots of celebrities, so I'm very honoured that he's actually working with me. But I think that it's going to be amazing. I'm honoured that he's going to help this charity because he said that he feels that he could do more. He's done stuff for the LGBT community, but he said it feels it would be great for him to do more for the trans community. So it's really great that we're doing this together, and I'm just really, really happy to be doing something towards our community that I can. However I can help, I will. So yeah, please do like, comment, subscribe and share to MyUmbrella. You can also check out my stuff on Facebook. It's at JessJames1983. Same on Twitter at JessJames1983. Instagram is JessicaJames1983. TikTok JessicaJames1983. And if you look on there, you'll find my YouTube links as well. So yeah, please do check out all my stuff as well. Like, comment, subscribe and share on everyone's stuff at MyUmbrella. That would be amazing, and thank you so much, and thank you for your time today on this really, really important day that is Trans Day of Remembrance. Thank you very much, and I'll see you all soon. Bye.
Today is a day in which we remember the many trans men and women who have suffered because of simply who they are. This year, we can't come together physically, but I believe our community has been together like never before through its solidarity, its care for each other, and our shared sense of why Reading is such a special place. Across the world, we know that trans people suffer discrimination, suffer hatred, and lose their lives simply because of their identity. And we know our own community is not immune to transphobia, is not immune to hatred, and that if you're a trans man or a trans woman, you may feel uncomfortable in certain parts of our town or walking down the street by yourself. This is not right, it's not acceptable, and it's something that we all need to change. I love Reading, and I believe that we are a very special place, a place which we can be really proud to call home. And at our best, we don't just tolerate people who are different, we don't just accept the presence of diversity in our community, we celebrate it. Now, celebration perhaps hasn't been on everyone's mind so much this year. We've been mourning together more than we've been celebrating together. But I do believe that as a community, we've become stronger, and we will continue to be stronger. And I believe that applies here when we talk about trans issues as well. There's been a lot of hurt and a lot of pain over the years, and that's not stopped this year. It's not changed this year in one go. But I believe by talking about this, by being open and listening to each other and listening to the lived experience of trans and gender diverse people, we can make Reading a better and stronger place. So while we reflect and while we think about the impact of transphobia and hatred and what it has meant that people have had their experiences deleted, their lives cut short, we also celebrate the contribution that trans people make to our community, the friendships, the family members, the volunteers, the workers, the people who live their lives as part of Reading and make a difference to our community. As Deputy Mayor, it's a real privilege to represent our town and to speak as deputised for the mayoralty. And I hope that those of you who are joining together, we're joining not physically, but in spirit and in solidarity, know that in Reading, we stand together as a community. There is no place for bigotry, for hatred, for violence against people simply because of who they are. Let's remember, let's reflect, but also let's have determination to make sure that we wipe out hatred, wipe out transphobia from our town.
On the Trans Day of Remembrance, we think of those who have been murdered or otherwise lost their lives as a result of transphobia. And although it's self-evident to all of us that nobody should suffer violence because of who they are, we know that people do, both across the UK and around the world. And it's a failure of our common humanity. Now, days of remembrance are important because they not only give us the opportunity to commemorate the past, but also a chance to reflect on our present and determine to build a better future. And around the world, we know that trans people suffer bigotry and discrimination. And politicians, I'm afraid, have been all too often culpable in creating the conditions where this exists, because so many have been too keen to play on the politics of division and of hatred. So I've been reflecting on how we can do things better. And I don't claim to have all of the answers, but I know that progressive leaders have to do more than simply articulate that they stand in solidarity with the trans community, or we risk the sentiment seeming hollow. So here in Reading, I'm determined that we will continue to work with our partners and community groups across the town to ensure that the trans community have access to support when they need it. And at the council, we'll work with our staff and with trade unions to make sure that our workplace can be somewhere that diversity thrives. I want us to be an exemplar, a model for others to follow. And so I know that progress and positive change is often hard won, but we have to try. And we need to be a town that is not only aware of its diversity, but proud of its diversity.
And thank you to Councillor Jason Brock and all of the rest of our speakers today. The next part of the event, we'll be marking the names of those who've been lost to us. There are some 430 of them, and as they appear on the screen, I'd like you to remember that each one was cherished, loved, and valued. Also, for each name that we have, many others are not known. And so let's reflect on those folks today. You may find it quite hard to read, but some of the causes of death will appear on the screen. If it's too difficult, please rejoin us at the end of this segment. But now let us introduce the names of the 430 that we have lost to the music provided by the Rock Choir.
Do you ever feel like a plastic bag drifting through you're down and out on the street, when evening falls so hard, I will comfort you. I'll take your part. Oh, when darkness comes and pain is all around, like a bridge over troubled water, I will lay me down. Like a bridge over troubled water, I will lay me down. Sail on, silver girl, sail on by. Your time has come to shine. All your dreams are on their way. See how they shine. See how they shine. If you need a friend, I'm sailing right behind. Like a bridge over troubled water, I will ease your mind. Like a bridge over troubled water, I will ease your mind. I will ease your mind. Your mind.
And welcome back. Now we come to the closing part of our event this evening, where we mark the lives that we have lost with a minute's silence. Please join me. Thank you. And welcome back. So we've come to the end of our event this evening. All that remains to do is to thank once again our distinguished speakers, to thank our production team, Christina, Mikey and Paul, and to thank you for joining us today. As we go forward, let's continue to remember those we have lost, and let's work together for a better year ahead. Thank you and goodbye.
your spirit.